Hey guys, this is Mr. Taco from the Daily Sporting here, coming to you with This Week in Fantasy Basketball. We're going to cover some of the top performers from the week. We're going to cover some of the injuries and all the things you need to know to stay ahead of the curve in fantasy basketball. What's up, guys? Like I said, my name is the talented Mr. Taco. I'm from the Daily Sporting, and we are here to help you win your leagues. This is a new segment that we're going to be going with every week, basically just reviewing this week in fantasy basketball. So mainly what I want to do is I want to cover some of the top performers of the week, show you some of their stats, highlight some of the injuries and some of the things that are going on. So this way you guys can make the most educated decisions possible in order to navigate your team to a championship. Now, just right off the riff, when we look at the top players from this week, I'll start off with actually just by showing you the top players of the whole season, and then we'll be able to go from there. And this way we can better analyze what the differences are from, what happened to what's going on. So right now, if we look at the rosters, just top 10 off the bat, we have Jokic, we have George, we have CJ McCollum, who's playing out of his mind right now. For him to only have 11 turnovers with 45 assists and 250 points, I think that's phenomenal. That's really, really, really a big reason why his numbers have gone up so much. The question is how sustainable it is, especially with him shooting 47% from the field. For his career, if we were able to pull up CJ McCollum real quick and just give you his summary. Okay, so they have his career here. For his career, he shoots 45%. And if we look last year, he shot 44%, 45, 44, 45. So this season right now, what he's doing is definitely abnormal. It's not typical for him. And I think that that's something you have to look at. Now, if he's able to sustain this level of efficiency, he's going to be one of the best players all season long. But if he does have a drop in, let's just say, his shooting percentage and his turnovers start going up, you're going to start to see him dropping. Now, the question would be, would you sell him high or would you try to buy on him now if you think he's going to continue? I think that it's going to be hard for CJ to keep this pace. He's playing basically like Damian Lillard was last year. I just don't see him being able to maintain this level of production. I do still think it's very possible he'll be a top 25 player, but I just don't know if he's going to finish in the top 10, especially top 5, as he is currently. As we keep going down, we see Steph Curry. Steph Curry's on fire right now. He has, if you look at the difference between him and CJ, he's shooting way less as far as field goal. Free throw, he is better. And then after that, it's rebounds that Curry's beating him in. Assists, steals, he's losing. But, I mean, it's very close. And Curry hasn't been as efficient. So that just shows you how much McCollum's efficiency is playing into his numbers being here right now in standard category-based leagues. Vujovic has been on fire this year. All around, he's looking like one of the best big men available in your drafts. Middleton is doing what he always does. He's been a super efficient player throughout his career, and he's able to stat stuff. And he's doing that right now, even with Justin Holiday or Drew Holiday there. So I think that Middleton, he may not keep top 10 production, but he'll definitely be in the top 15, top 20 again this year. Miles Turner's blocks are insane. At 37 blocks, I'm pretty sure he's leading the league right now. And if you look at him, he's been very efficient, 49%, 83%, 9 turnovers, 11 three-pointers made. But then if you look at the rest of his stats, 110 points, very low. 54 rebounds. He has only 2 more rebounds than Steph Curry for perspective. So that's huge. And he's a center. So he's not getting you the rebounds. Okay, 9 assists, 13. So the main reason why Turner's this high is because he's been super efficient and his blocks have been on par. Now, if I'm someone that has Miles Turner in the league, would I deal him? It depends on what you would get back, because I don't think he's going to be top 8 in value, especially when a guy like TJ Warren comes back. I want to see how that impacts him, because he's really not scoring that much. He's not getting that many rebounds. He doesn't give you assists. He's not a three-point shooter, so that's 4 categories he's not graded. He gets you some points, but because he gets you so little points, his field goal doesn't impact your field goal that much. It does impact it, but not that much. Look at it, 85 attempts. versus a guy like CJ who has 189 attempts. CJ's 47% will impact your field goal a lot more than Miles Turner's 49%. If you look at his free throws, 15 of 18. So I think that while Miles Turner is ranked really high right now, we have to look at it's mainly based because of his efficiency. And I think that's something that we all have to factor in when we're looking at a guy like Miles Turner. And I think that does open him up for the possibility of trading him to someone that sees those numbers and think that's so fantastic and try to get some of these underperforming guys that we think are going to turn it around in the second half of the season that we can definitely take advantage of. And for that, I'm going to cover that in a separate video with our waiver wire tips and tricks. So I'll lump that into, or I may just make that a separate video where we'll go over the low trade or the trade targets that you want to be going after, guys that are underperforming their normal stats or what we think they're capable of, that you may be able to get a discount on. So this way you can go forward in your league and continuously have those vital blue chip pieces that you need in order to win your league. Now, as we wrap it out, I'm going to go with the 9 and 10 guys, which are Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. The reason why I go to these guys specifically is, one, they're playing phenomenal basketball right now. Both these guys have been playing absolutely lights out basketball. But if we see here, both of them have been tested positive for COVID. And with the positive COVID test, that has really changed the way this week is going to come out. And if we look right here, I have a setup here that's going to show you, okay, AD, Greek Freak, LeBron James, Westbrook, Embiid, and Simmons right now are all day-to-day as some of the top players that are out. But there's rumors that Embiid is going to be able to play today. Ja Morant and KP were supposed to be back in 7 to 14 days from now. But the rumors are that KP might be back today, this Monday, January 11th, that KP might actually play ahead of schedule, just like Embiid. Tatum, Brown, Tobias Harris, Michael Porter Jr. all tested positive for COVID recently, and they're within that protocol. Michael Porter Jr. actually tested positive twice, so we're not 100% sure how long that's going to take. And, right now we're looking at 10 to 14, but Michael Porter Jr. has been out for a long time already. Tatum and Brown, we're hoping to get them back. Maybe it looks like maybe another week to 10 days. They've already been out since I want to say the 9th or so. So they're already in the process of going through the COVID treatment. Hopefully they have a speedy recovery and it doesn't affect their play because they've been playing great. And then the last case that we have here is Kyrie Irving. And Kyrie Irving has not been kind to fantasy basketball fans. He's missed his last 3 games due to personal reasons, and yet he has not come back to the team. We have no clue what's going on. Kevin Durant, who tested positive for COVID, has already come back. Meanwhile, Kyrie is still out for personal reasons. And I think that is very telling, and it should make you worry as a fantasy basketball owner. With that being said, Kyrie was playing out of his mind and looking really good when he was playing. But he is such a head case that we don't know what's going on. Personally, I have him in one league. I know it's going to be hard to trade him. Unless I can get a really good offer, I'm probably just going to have to ride it out and hope that he comes through and starts playing, and there's really not that much discipline, and that he's able to, be there for the fantasy playoffs and doesn't pull something like this. But, if I get a somewhat, equal offer or a deal that looks really enticing to me, I definitely would take it. And I might throw some flyers out there if I'm looking at trading with Kyrie Irving involved, trying to trade Kyrie Irving off. The other thing is, if you're able to get Kyrie at a much reduced rate because the owner doesn't want to deal with his head case, that might be another way to go as well, depending on what you have to give up. But I think that's all relative, and that's something that we have to just keep in mind when we're looking at Kyrie, because when he plays, he's a monster. But when he's going through all this, you don't want to deal with him, and it becomes a sticky situation. As we go back to what I was saying before, for this last week that we've seen, Vujovic was number 1. Kawhi Leonard had an amazing week. He put up numbers across the board. He gives you steals. He gave you a little bit of blocks, low turnovers, great field goal percentage. And if you look at Kawhi so far this year, he hasn't been shooting the best this season. It's been a down season, I would say, for him with his efficiency, because normally Kawhi is a very efficient player. And if we look at his numbers this season, he's shooting 47%. So this week definitely boosted him a lot, because if we see, he shot 56% for the week, and now for the season he's only shooting 47%. So obviously this week impacted his percentages a lot and helped him come up. Jokic has just been a monster all year, from assists, rebounds, but I think that he's getting a little bit of too many turnovers, and he's not shooting as well from the free throw line as we expected, and his 3 points are down a little bit. But with that being said, Jokic is still the #1 player in fantasy basketball. Shea Gilchrist Alexander started the season on a little bit of a slump, and this past week he's been on fire, and it's definitely helped boosted his value. That game versus the Knicks really did wonders for him, and he really started getting back into his scoring groove. One player that I do want to touch on real quick, though, is Nicholas Batum. He's owned here in 50% of leagues, and I definitely think it needs to be a lot more. I have him in one league or so. If we look, he's been averaging 30 minutes per game. One guy that we thought that would get a lot more minutes, Zubac, has not, and I think that Batum has really been the one that's benefited from Zubac's reduction in minutes. And if we look at Batum, he fills the categories. He only has 3 turnovers. He shoots 59% from the field, 87% from the line. Yes, he doesn't have high volume, so it's not going to impact you that much, but it's a nice guy for the end of your roster to give you those nice little boosts that you need. Then you look at it, he has 9 3-pointers, and he's playing small forward, power forward, which is pretty good in comparison to some of the other guys, PJ Washington, Butcher, Shea Kidd, Jokic. He's right on par with them. He has more threes than Vujovic. Rebounds, he's solid. Points, he's solid. Assists, he got him. Steals, he's really good. He's one of the best steals guys here with good efficiency. So he's a good, efficient guy that gets you steals, gets you threes, and he doesn't really kill you anywhere. That's a solid end of your roster guy. Where if you can make this pickup, definitely do it. Especially because he's playing 30 minutes per game over this past week, and we know that, over this past season, they really liked him and they really let him play. So I think that that's someone we definitely want to try to add into our leagues. Now, this week, we did have a major injury to report in fantasy basketball. Thomas Bryant, the center from the Washington Wizards, is actually out with the torn ACL. And if we look at his stats this year, he's been really solid. He's someone that we expected to have a breakout season after the way he played last year. He looked really good. He's coming back healthy, and people expected him to really break out, and he was on the verge of that breakout before this injury. And this is going to be something that's going to really affect some fantasy owners because we spent decent draft capital on him, and he's a really good player. So some guys that you can look at to replace him are going to be guys like Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis has been playing out of his mind lately, and one of the cool things about Bobby Portis is that he's not owned in that many leagues. Hold on one second as I pull up Bobby Portis's numbers for everyone. So Bobby Portis is only 55% of leagues. He's going up. He's shooting 54% from the field, 80% from the free throw line. He's shooting. He's getting 11 points, 8 rebounds, 1 steal, 1.5 assists, 1.4 turnovers, and he's only owned in 55% of leagues. He plays power forward. He plays center. He's getting almost a 3 a game. I think that this is a guy that you definitely want to try to get on your roster, especially if he's only 55% owned and you lost a guy like Thomas Bryant. This is definitely someone good to replace him with. Another guy that we could look at here is Cantor. Now, Cantor is also one of these guys who doesn't get the most minutes, right? But when we look at Cantor's numbers, it's been phenomenal, okay? So here we go. We got him up. So Enes Kanter this season is shooting 65% from the field, 80% from the line, and he has 10 points and 9 rebounds per game on 20 minutes per game. And we've seen him do this in multiple places where he's able to get really good stats up, between rebounds and points without having to get that many minutes. He's a monster on the inside. He's currently ranked 98, and he's only owned in 46% of leagues. So if you're looking for a Thomas Bryant replacement, this is definitely someone that you can definitely take a look into and see if he's available on your league with Bobby Portis. Now, one of the other guys that we're going to be looking at here is Willie Cauley-Stein, okay? And now Willie Cauley-Stein is an interesting case, and he's someone that I would say, if we take a quick look here, he's someone that you could add on your team for the short term, but long term, I don't know how much I can trust him. One of the big things that we have to look at with Willie Cauley-Stein, okay, here, if we look at his last week, okay, he's really gotten more minutes because Max Keebler has gotten hurt and KP hasn't come back. Again, there's rumors that KP could be back today, which no one expected, but I still would expect that Willie Cauley-Stein would still be playing a big role with no Keebler being there because of his COVID test. He's shooting 61% from the field, 83% from the free throw line, 8.7 rebounds, low turnovers, almost a block and a steal per game. He doesn't get you many threes, but for his 7% ownership percentage, and with how well he's been playing, and with Keebler being out, and if you lost Thomas Bryant, this is an immediate plug and play that you can put in there to get you by for now as you scour the waiver wire or the trade market to find an adequate replacement. So if he's someone that is available in your leagues, he's someone at least for the short term, maybe the next 7 to 10 days that you could plug in and play and expect some decent results from, and then you could decide and look and see if you can either get a trade or get someone that better fits your team to fill that need of replacing Thomas Bryant. And the last guy that we're going to talk about is a guy who really played well for them in the finals, and that's Kelly Olynyk. And Kelly Olynyk was really someone that was I want to say he helped that team so much when he became in that starting lineup for the finals, because he stretched the floor out for Jimmy Butler. And if we look at how Kelly Olynyk has been playing over this whole season, he's only owned in 34% of leagues, but he's currently sitting at 62 in rankings. He's getting about 25, 26 minutes per game, and he was moved into the starter's role. Okay, he shoots 46% from the field, 66% from the free throw line, but he doesn't take that many free throw attempts, so it doesn't kill you. It does hurt a little bit, but he's hitting 2.7 threes and getting 11 points as a big man with 1 steal and 1 block basically a game. So yes, his rebounds are a little down, but from a center, getting 2.7 threes per game is phenomenal. And to get him when he's only owned in 34% of leagues, if you did lose Thomas Bryant and you need 3-point shooting, this is definitely a guy that you could take a look at. Now, he is currently dealing with a little bit of a groin injury that has set him back a little bit, but last night's game with Philly was canceled, and we have to see if he's going to be playing, maybe tonight or during this week. But he's someone that if you can grab him, he's a good stash. He's getting about 26 minutes per game on average. He's scoring decent points, and if we just break it down to what he's been doing over his last 7 games, we up that up to 4 3-pointers per game, 16 points per game, and 6.3 rebounds. So definitely, if you're able to get Kelly Olynyk on your team, that's someone I definitely would make that reach out for and add him, especially if you're missing a guy like Thomas Bryant. Now, I want to thank you guys for coming by and rocking with us here at the Daily Sporting. Like I said, this week in basketball is going to be something that I'm going to be doing every week going forward. You can expect it on Mondays. I want to be shooting to have this going on 10 a.m. most Mondays. But, sometimes things happen and it goes out a little bit later. Today, we're probably going to see it around 1 o'clock Eastern time. But this is This Week in Basketball. Stay tuned for our waiver wire watch and our trade docket that we have for players that you might want to get rid of and you might want to trade for. Those are all things that we'll have in the works. But every Monday, you can expect This Week in Basketball to be here. I'm your host, the talented Mr. Taco. This is the Daily Sporting. We want to thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and peace.